So congratulations. Congratulations. The entire time we've been doing this, I've been clapping, looking at the mic, camera even, and saying congratulations. When we did TNAP, and there was Travis, what was the TNAP? See, the Comic Con, or it was D23, and Travis said congratulations. And I'm pretty certain you've heard congratulations a lot.
I have.
Everyone say congratulations to Jarod. He's finally finished. He's only just clocked it.
I mean, I understood what you were doing, and I understand now what the joke Travis was making.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You should like smash cut the moment you reference the Travis moment to him doing that.
I think I will actually, because he says it, and you're looking off. Like you're saying something like off in the distance. He says that, I'm just like, the fuck? Like, why? Only I can say that. No. So yeah, Pro and Noob. We are on 18, I think. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So episode 25 and 26 of the NGE Evangelion. That premiered in March of 1996. In Japan, anyway. So Mitch 692, Jarod from the Nerd Academy Podcast, or Jarod from the Human Instrumentality Project. It's taken him 26 episodes to finally get the name of it right. He's been calling it the Human Instrument Project the entire time.
That's not true.
It is true. You've done it at least once, because I'll go back and find that one.
Maybe I did it once. I know I've been saying instrumentality. Okay. Lock in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on, Jarod. Come on.
Quick question. So just quick question, just to like iron out. Like, there's just one thing that I'm like,
that's fine.
that I need to allow it down at.
What the fuck happened?
Let me just. What in the actual fuck did I just watch?
You watched the ending of Neon Genesis Evangelion?
Okay. I just got to be honest.
You're falling on the side that a lot of people fell on. Arguably rightly so.
Can I speak my piece, and then I want to hear what you're about to say?
I mean, that's kind of what I was saying. That's all I really had to say, but you shoot.
Well, because I don't know what the take here is as a fandom or whatever. When I started this show about an ancient, like, precursor alien race that was experimented upon, and we have scientists playing God and all of this iconography, and I really felt like I did not think the show would end in a 2-episode long ayahuasca trip.
I'm not even sure they knew that, to be honest. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think Arno's ever spoken about why or how they got to this ending and why it was going to end this way. Obviously, there's rumors and a bunch of other shit, but
what are the rumors, if I may ask?
Rumors are like they've run out of budget, because for obvious reasons, you can see why people thought that. People are like, oh, he had a mental breakdown from depression and everything, like halfway through, and this is the ending he came up with. So you're seeing like the self-insert of that is everything just kicking off. He's a very depressive man. You might
I glean that. I glean that this might be an individual who has dealt with some turmoil.
He has had his struggles.
So, okay, I'm going to say just one last thing before you
kick back off again.
Okay.
Be thankful you haven't got to wait 14 months.
Okay, thank you, I guess.
You're waiting longer than most people since everything happened because you got a few days. But someone like me, it was just bam.
So I want to give the audience a funny little peek behind the curtain.
You leaking the DMs again?
I'm not leaking the DMs. So anybody who is familiar with me and what I'm all about knows I'm a very big Kendrick Lamar fan. He is my favorite. He goes back and forth between him and Childish Gambino as like my favorite artists of all time. But obviously, it's been a good year to be a Kendrick fan. It's been a good year to be a Kendrick fan who also hates Drake. So, like, being those two things has been really good time for me. And after Kendrick dropped his like surprise song on Instagram, whatever we're gonna call it, some people let the part what time to watch the party die, Dear God, Heart Part 6, whatever it is. I decided to revisit a podcast I like a lot. People have heard me talk about it before, Dissect.
This is what you're talking about. Oh, yeah.
So, and Dissect has like a side show called Last Song Standing, where they'll basically take an album and kind of like debate about what the best song from each album is, and then they do that for all of the artists' albums, and then they do a kind of Royal Rumble, as they call it, to figure out what the best song of that artist is. They've done Outkast, they've done Frank Ocean, but the first season was Kendrick Lamar. And I've just been on such a I just want to think about how good Kendrick is as a writer. And I went back to re-listen to the Kendrick season of Last Song Standing. And what I am about to play off of my phone is the host of the show, Cole Kushner and Charles Holmes, talking about the opening track from Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, United in Grief.
Different. Like, to me, again, if we're looking for like nuggets that could represent the theme of this album, I Grieve Different is just so critical. Like, here's all the ways that we deal with our trauma and like externalize our trauma and how it manifests in the world and our behavior. He talks about his sex addiction and his materialism that he hid, from us. And just that refrain of him like screaming out, I grieve different, is just so powerful to me. And then the title, United in Grief, I think really captures a lot about this album, and particularly like the influence of Eckhart Tolle. So I think there's like two main ideas that he's taking from Eckhart Tolle on this album. One is this idea of like universal consciousness, that, all people on earth are connected. And not only that, we're connected with the entire universe. Like, we're just an extension.
Like Neon Genesis Evangelion?
I guess. I don't know what you're talking about.
So I get to that part. And I am at work. I am at my day job. And I damn near drop an entire box of shoes.
Just the one box?
No, like I had like a big cardboard box full of shoes.
Yeah.
I was putting
it's like
away
a shoe box is kind of like...
Yeah, I know. I had like the end of The Usual Suspects, like Kobayashi mug falling to the ground moment.
Nice.
When Charles said that. And I realized, because this first season of Last Song Standing came out a couple years ago. I would say 21, 22.
I think it said 22 in the screenshot you sent.
It does? Okay.
I think.
So I then realize and remember, because at the end of each of those episodes, Cole and Charles would do a cultural exchange where it'll basically be like, hey, your homework for this week is listen to this album that means a lot to me that I know you've never seen. Hey, I need you to watch this movie that I love a lot that I know you've never seen. Shit like that. And then I remember that the first chunk of cultural exchange, that segment, was Charles making Cole watch Neon Genesis Evangelion. And I then went, because they do it at the end of the episode. They do their outro, and then they kind of come back for like almost like a post-credit type thing. And I was like, I cannot listen to the cultural exchange segments again because I might get tainted. And I have to avoid this at all costs.
I mean, it's bad enough that you heard that, to be quite honest with you.
Which brings me to what I'm about to say.
There's a tweet that you got a minute. I don't know if you saw it actually, but you got a reply to your tweet. And I'm like, motherfucker.
I saw that. And again, I saw it as I was transitioning into the second episode today. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean anyway? And put my phone down. Because I wanted to enjoy hearing that theme song for the last time. For the first time, I should say. And hearing Charles say, oh, it's like Neon Genesis Evangelion with regards to the themes of United in Grief, I realized was like kind of a cheat code for me to get this show. In a very brief moment, I was like, it felt very preordained that 2 years ago, a podcast about Kendrick Lamar left one little nugget for me to attempt to wrap my brain around this motherfucking show. An attempt is the key word, because let me tell you, I was expecting the apocalypse. I was expecting trying to prevent the end times. I was expecting Gendo to become synthesized with some type of higher being. I did not know what to expect, but I had this idea that who we are exists in symbiosis with all of reality, and that our pain is extrapolated into the pain of others, and the pain of others comes back and is refracted back onto us. And that idea, I was like, okay, I'll keep this in my mind. And I was like, surely I'm going to figure out how this has been the underpinning metaphor of the show. And I did not go into this finale prepared for it to just be that. It's incredibly heady. It's incredibly bizarre. And I will. Okay. I'm trying to think about the best way to segment this out. So I guess I will start.
Before you do.
Okay, yeah.
Can I just say how fucking mad that made me?
What?
That one clip.
From Last Song Standing?
I almost had a hole in the wall. The shape of my phone.
Really?
I was just like fucks. I was so, not literally, but I was so mad. Actually, it is the cheat code, right?
That I can now use Mr. Morales and the Big Steppers. Me personally.
And also, and then I see that fucking tweet on Twitter, and it's just like, we've spent 18 fucking weeks. Not quite that, but for everyone watching this, it's been 18 weeks for you. It's
been about 16 for us. There's a couple weeks where we squeezed in 2 episodes into a week. Peek behind the curtain.
It's probably less than that, because we caught up. But anyway, it's been smooth the entire fucking time. And then those 2 things come out. On top of the usual, I am now nervous that he's at the end of this fucking show. Because this is the bit that makes or breaks everyone. You either love it or you fucking hate it. And
let me
bailed on me yesterday for fair enough reasons. But I'm be happy I have hair and this ain't fucking bald. It's just like, fuck.
Well, for what it's worth, the reply to my tweet, and again, no shade to the person replying to my tweet. I don't know that they know that Pro Noob exists.
Probably not, but we came very close to having the wrong Star Wars account with the black eye, is what I'm going to say. It's like almost.
Because well, and in the name of, I love how Eli also replied to the tweet, but that man has never seen a minute of anime that is a Star Wars vision, so all he said was fucking buttermilk. But no, so the account was Star Wars Lads. And all they said was, and then straight into End of Evangelion, which is pseudo concurrent and an alternate ending at the same time. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
So this tweet, just with no context of what the act, because again, I glanced at this between episodes. I looked at that and it made me more confused. Like, this did not, I want to make it clear, this did not ruin anything for me.
No, but it's just,
I think at most it opened my mind to the idea that the movies, and so this is a part where I have to be cards on the table. Out of sheer confusion, I just looked at the description for End of Evangelion.
That's fine. That's completely fine.
Out of sheer confusion,
completely fine.
Semi based on the extra confusion that tweet gave me.
That's completely fine.
And so what I am gleaning from that plot synopsis and that tweet is that the movies are meant to continue what most would say is the more quote unquote straightforward ending to the story.
There is a reason why it's called End of Evangelion.
Is that this is meant to be the, okay, so like the show ended kind of buck wild, but here's the more, like more that this is a version of the ending of this story that has more to do with the themes of like the playing God and the mad science and like this kind of like apocalypse, trying to prevent the apocalypse.
End of Evangelion is a less atypical version of what you just saw.
Okay.
It's the word salad version of yes to what you just said, basically.
See, I heard version of yes, and I honestly, my brain did not compute that with how trippy this ending that I just watched was. I went to the end of the first season of Dimension 20 Fantasy High, where the cleric of the party, who it's very, 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 very fascinating way they handle it. Basically, that this cleric, because Fantasy High is like, everything's magic and there's elves and orcs and dwarfs and but we're all in high school and we have cell phones and
yeah,
it's bright but good and not propaganda-y. To oversimplify it, but there's like one of the main player characters like comes from like a conservative religious background and they're the chosen one because they're this cleric. And a lot of the first season is them falling out of a relationship with their deity.
Yeah. And
they create their own new god, and it is the word yes in block letters with a question mark at the end. Nice. And so when you said it's basically yes, and part of my brain went, oh yeah, like Christian Appleby's like creating her own god. And I'm like, no. Mitch, that's not what Mitch is at. Stop. So cool.
Who knows? Maybe it's a giant reference. You don't know.
Oh God! And
wouldn't that be some shit?
The other thing, and again, just to ease your mind.
I'm fine.
I know. I'm just saying, like that last song standing clip. I think it was really interesting hearing it when I did, because it does not spoil anything. Had I listened to the cultural exchange parts, I might have been in trouble.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it does spoil it to an extent because the whole last two episodes is like, hey, the show's touched on it before. They've always spoken about the version of you inside someone else, right? You're not just you. You are Blur. You're the way Blur sees you, the way Blur sees you, right? But I think it's just more the wording of it. Because how the show says it and how someone else describes it are two vastly different things.
Yes.
Right. And giving you the whole idea of like the collective unconscious or universal unconscious. It's like, it's literally the last 2 episodes. Is exactly that. It's just explaining what that is and how it works in context of this show and what they're trying to say.
And what I find so deeply fascinating and funny about that is that it is not rare for me to come back and use Kendrick Lamar's music as a benchmark for art I don't understand, and almost as like a starting point. Like anybody who watches Nerd Academy, back when Ahsoka was coming out on Knights of the Nerd Republic, Shadow Warrior, which I think might be one of my favorite episodes of Star Wars television.
It's because of Anakin, right?
I mean, part of it is me clapping because of Darth Vader. Yes. Part of it is Hayden Christensen with a red lightsaber. Yes.
So that's 2/3.
Shut the fuck up. But it does the kind of like quintessential Star Wars, like, you know, what's in that cave, only what you take with you. But it goes about teaching Ahsoka the lesson she learns in the world between worlds in a way that, like, Star Wars, for all of the ways that it does get really thematically complex, and it does, there are just as many times as it will spell it out for you.
100%, yeah.
Painful obviousness. And again, it's for fucking 12-year-olds, so of course it does. But
there's anime speak and there's Star Wars speak. They're the same.
And, you know, granted, it's for 12-year-olds. It doesn't stop grown-ass men from not getting it. That's not the conference. That's not the show we're on today.
Culturally relevant.
Sizzle.
Band of Menace and how we going?
Please cut that.
There are 2 videos you have on your channel, which are really good. Go watch it.
They are very good. Sizzle. You have to come to Pro and Noob for me to start teasing it in public. Cross promotion. But like, you know, Luke going into the cave on Dagobah promises to come back to Evangelion. Luke going into the cave on Dagobah, and when he kills Darth Vader and the helmet explodes and he sees his own face, that is very obviously setting up this idea of, you know, if you lash out at him, if you rely on the same negative emotions that Vader thrives on to defeat him, it will make you just as bad as him.
Yeah.
It's not subtle at all. Whereas with Ahsoka, it goes to a really weird, heady place where it makes her look this life of violence and warfare that she has lived her entire life in the face, and makes her grapple with the very idea of fighting, and makes her grapple with whether or not it truly makes her consider, is fighting in and of itself bad? Is having to risk it all, is any form of violence inherently bad? And this way that Ahsoka has kind of become this free agent who doesn't want to like hard sign her name next to any causes anymore because she's been burned so many times. And it's her coming out the other side being able to go, no, like I am part of something bigger than myself, and that is an inherently good thing. And that, you know, that there is a level of self-forgiveness and that she cannot hold herself responsible for Anakin. It's really complex, and it goes to a really weird place, and how it presents that. And it all comes back to, you know, if you know that there's a choice to make, you know, that moment where she has Anakin at her mercy, that's all about her recognizing that she can tell the difference between wanton violence and fighting for what's right. That Anakin's legacy has not fully infected her in the way that she thinks it has. But I remember watching that episode for the first time, and I remember not getting it for the first time. And having to like really think about it and ponder what that episode was trying to say. And the place I started was a Kendrick Lamar album. Because I was like, I'm seeing similar themes. So what is Damn about? Because something about this is giving me Damn. So let me think about Damn. And being able to go through that album, hot take, my favorite Kendrick album, and use that as almost a roadmap to get to what Shadow Warrior was about was really helpful. All of that to say, I truly think that had I not gone back to Last Song Standing, had I chosen to just listen to one of the main Dissect seasons about either To Pimp a Butterfly or Damn, because I just was in my Kendrick bag that week, that had I just listened to one of those seasons and then watched these two episodes, my brain still would have gone to Mr. Morale and still would have gone to Eckhart Tolle and like the collective unconscious. Because I can't help it. If I could edit worth a damn, I would already have made a Neon Genesis Evangelion edit set to United in Grief. Because
I'll be very surprised if there's not one already out there.
I'm sure there is. Do you listen to Kendrick?
No. Shock horror. Everyone's always been surprised at this whenever I say it. I'm not a music guy like that. Give me like the Final Fantasy VII soundtrack. Shit like that. Give me the orchestral stuff. No, yes, I have like my playlist from when I was growing up with all like the actual like the bands and the groups and the all that sort of shit. But I would rather sit there and just fucking either disappear.
You like soundtrack classical stuff? No, that's totally
pretty
valid.
Much, yeah.
I don't. In the same way that you said, let's hard launch Jarod's anime journey with NGE, giving you Mr. Morale is what might be like. Not like your first rap album, obviously, but like
it would have been
no, obviously not your first rap album, but like I would like to pull a Last Song Standing and assign you the homework of listening to Mr. Morale before we record.
I'll listen to it.
Because I think the themes of that will resonate with you, especially after the little primer we got from Charles Holmes. But no, and again, I want to make it clear, I did really love these two episodes. I think that I have a distinct privilege of coming back to this show. I say back to as in like, the movement of time. I have the distinct privilege of coming back to this show in the year 2024 and knowing that even if I didn't like this ending, knowing how much follow-up material there is. I have that luxury. And I'm sure that there are people who rightfully wanted the, Gendo's big evil plan story to end in a more satisfying way. And we're less interested in the show ending with Shinji's character arc being fulfilled, if that makes sense.
Here's your main core cast of characters therapy session.
Yeah.
What do they want? Is the last 2 episodes.
And
I
totally
fucked up what they want. No.
Yeah, and I totally get why some people would be disappointed and frustrated by this back in the day.
People still get disappointed by it now.
And again, and if I didn't go into this knowing that I have the version of the ending I was super excited to see, again, I wanted to see a final conflict with Gendo. Again, even with that little, it's just like Neon Genesis Evangelion from Charles Holmes. I still went into it assuming I'd see again, like for lack of a better term, a final battle with Gendo Ikari.
Hard cut to You'll Never Know. No.
What? I didn't hear what you
I said hard cut to You'll Never Know.
You'll never know what hit you.
If I see copyright in my YouTube studio, I'm gonna flip.
That was like the safe number of seconds you can do it. No, I thought that I did think this was very beautiful. Again, it was very weird. It was very heady. You know, I think the thing that worked the least for me, if I'm being very honest.
If you say the school bit in episode 26, we are ending this right now.
No.
Thank God.
That was the moment you got. That was the exact moment you got the Mitch, what the fuck is going on?
Do you know what? I knew.
I knew. I believe that you knew. I believe that.
Just like, no. Oh yeah, he's right there. So I've got 6 minutes left. It's like, I know, Jarod. I don't worry.
I got 6 minutes left. Because that was me saying, I don't know how the fuck this plane lands, bro. I have to say, and I think this is the thing that I'm the most glad that there is a follow-up ending. Shinji's arc resolving with Gendo saying, I'm proud of you, and then Shinji smiling and then credits. I'm not going to hold you. That made me really fucking angry. That there was a brief moment where I was like, that's Jarod, the end of the show.
Jarod, it's not Gendo.
I know it's not literally Gendo. I know it's not literally Gendo.
Just so we're clear.
It's the idea of Gendo. You know, standing there.
It's his ideal version of Gendo.
It's Shinji's ideal version of Gendo. The version of Gendo that exists that has allowed Gendo to be so harmful to Shinji. Mm-hmm. That is why I did. Again, I like, because again, if this was everybody's consciousness just kind of like swirling in a blender, which it kind of is and it kind of isn't, and then, you know, congratulations. And it's like, Gendo, who had to go through his own fucked up memory gauntlet, and that's the version of him that's looking at his kid and going, I love you so much. I'm sorry I've been a deadbeat sociopath. Different. However, you know, the artifice slips away and everybody shows up, and here's Gendo in his full Commander
Shinji's entire world.
In Commander Fuckface outfit, going, congratulations, Shinji. Yay! Credits. Got me a little wrong. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was I was a little raw about that, and I had not.
It's fine. Pen's there say congratulations. That's all that matters.
Pen is there saying congratulations. I would love to be congratulated by Pen.
Best boy Pen.
But no, I really liked what this was trying to do. There are just certain elements that I do feel were undercooked. Like, and maybe this is
what, in these 2 episodes or the entire show?
In these 2 episodes.
Okay.
And again, maybe this is just me with my very Western progressive leftist opinions and politics in 2024.
Just say woke is sure.
Yeah, I'm woke. I think I'm too woke for Misato's slut shaming bit. I just because again, it's complicated, right? It's complicated because
I don't agree with that in the slightest. It's not. I don't think that's what they're saying.
Sure, and again, I don't necessarily think that's what it was. But the ambiguity of it becomes complicated. Like, I can't tell if the intent is saying Misato fills the hole in her heart with the attention and sexuality of men, or if that is Misato's own bad self-talk saying that, and she knows the reality that that's not true, but there's a part of her brain that is like conditioned itself to think that of herself. Like, I don't know.
If I just say yes. Yes, yeah. That's literally what's happened.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is it's just one of those like, I don't know if I like this idea. Like, yeah, it's very complicated. It's very messy art. And I don't say messy in terms of like,
No.
it's sloppily made. It's messy in terms of like, it's really complicated feelings, and emotions behind it. And I appreciate that. Mr. Morale is a very messy album, emotionally. And I have a lot of opinions about that album. Not all of them are good. So yeah, I also want to say, just on the topic of music, before we let it go, if there's one criticism I think I've ever had of this show that I've never voiced in one of these episodes, that I was kind of waiting to see where it would go. Outside of the title sequence, I have found myself largely unimpressed by the soundtrack or by the score.
No. There's like, what, 3 bits of music in this?
Yeah, and that's it. And I was like, and there are so many, and it makes a lot of like weird musical choices. Again, there's that like funky yacht rock that plays while Shinji has his very like sex driven, memory gauntlet several weeks ago for us now.
I don't think that's a sex driven in the slightest. I find it fascinating that you got that from there. Like, yes, they're naked. I get where you're coming from. I don't think that's.
I mean, in a very like carnal, almost Freudian, like, you're a teenager with hormones, and like every woman around you, there is that undercurrent of how.
Like, don't get me wrong. This show
them.
is very much an element of the show. I don't think that one bit specifically was about that.
I'm referring to Misato, Asuka, and Rei Ayanami.
Yeah, they become one with me, mind, body, and soul bit. Yeah, and
yeah.
just going for it.
But that's also, there's also a prelude to that where they explicitly say "sleep with me," and not in as many words. And again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing necessarily. I'm just like, that whole bit where they like dolphin dive at the screen, buck ass naked, beckoning him to become one with them. And a lot of that is built on the pretense of Shinji just like having a natural sexual reaction to all of these women in his life. But like that was like the only piece of music that really stuck out to me that was not a leitmotif that played every single moment of this show. It was, the very loud timpani, like dum 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 dum, whenever an angel would arrive and they were about to go into battle, which I like that
banger,
music.
by the way.
Yeah, great. It's great. I just like, with a show that is so emotionally complex, there was a part of me that was left wanting more from the score. That's fair. Holy shit, the music in this episode. Oh my God. That longer, more filled out version of, I think it's the Ray / credit music.
Which bit are you talking about?
I believe it's in the first episode we watched today.
25.
Yeah.
A longer version of as in the ending credit.
I think that's what it was.
I can't remember that.
I'm getting my wires crossed at the moment. Hold on.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
I'm trying to get to it so that I can like get.
I know
in my head.
I know the ending of everything of 26 is the piano version, and it's a longer version of Cruel Angel's Thesis.
Yeah.
Which again, banger, by the way.
Okay, I was right. It is the credit music that plays, and it's while Rey is talking to all the versions of herself. But it's a much fuller arrangement of that. Do 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 do.
Yeah, no, I remember you now. Yeah.
And then, as you said, the piano version of the main theme was beautiful. That actually did get me choked up. Like hearing like that arrangement of it got me.
That's what we like to hear.
But yeah, no, like I said, very brave finale, be it by virtue of it being the legitimate ending that the creator had in mind, or it being a product of strained resources or strained, brain power. However we got here, this was an inspired choice, even if it did not fully work. It's one of those instances where, for me, and Mitch has heard me say this before, I am more often than not forgiving of creative decisions that don't work when I can tell what the roadmap to get here was, and if I am able to go, I see what you were going for. I tend, and again, this is why I'm like, maybe I shouldn't call myself a critic, because sometimes I care less about how well it's executed and what it's trying to say. And again, there are some elements here that are a little underbaked, but then there are also just really inspired choices. Like as Shinji is becoming less and less of a conscious being, the art is becoming less and less complicated
just dissolves away.
But I think again, where I'm sitting here going, I was hoping for more of these themes about creation to take more of a front seat. There is a moment where that is kind of the thrust of it, is that we are all living in a constant act of creation. Be it in how we engage with ourselves, the world around us, and the way that we all engage, collective unconscious type stuff that I think is very beautiful and very poignant. You can chalk me down as somebody who loved this ending. Again, does it work as a whole? Does it get enough style points from me to make up for that? Absolutely, it does.
That's what we like to hear.
Oh, one other thing. Did Commander Ikari fucking kill everybody?
I'm not going to tell you that.
Because that is okay. So that's another thing. That was part of like my initial swirl here.
Because you do see certain images.
But yeah, it looks like
they also tell you some certain things as well.
Like what?
Well, what instrumentality is. Or they give you a vague outline of the concept of what instrumentality is.
Yeah.
They don't outright go like, right, here's the fucking scroll. Here's every bullet point for what this project is.
Will I get that in the movie?
You'll get an answer, yeah.
Okay. Well,
you know how this is. It's been long enough, Jarod. You know how this show works.
I know, but we're so close to the end, and
no, you're right here. You're at the end. This is the end.
Part of me for saying this, Mitch, but after the 2 episodes I just watched, I promise you'll get an answer is not quite enough for me right now.
You will get an answer.
I will take you at your word. I will take you at your word. You will get
an answer. Whether it's from the movie, whether it's from me, you will definitely get an answer.
Excellent. But yeah, no, because initially I was thinking that what Commander Ikari was doing was kind of creating like a unimind with humanity. But to either do that, it would cause an extinction level event. And he was like, or that Misato and Ritsuko got in his way and he killed them for that so that he could do this.
Interesting. Interesting.
Because, I mean, Misato is like curled up in a ball having clearly been shot.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
And just based on animated blood splatter, it does not look like that was a self-inflicted wound.
Who knows? Who knows, Jarod?
Because I could do with a little less suicide in this show. But
look, all I'll say is there's a reason why they showed you that. There's a reason why a movie came out a year later, 14 months after this came out.
well,
No. People were like, oh, it's a reaction. They wanted to give everything. No, that's not how animation works. They weren't going to make a whole 90-minute movie in 14 months. It's not how it works. That's way too quick. But you have...
I have to ask you, is this a satisfying reaction from me? Did I let you down? Like, no,
you didn't let me down. No.
Okay.
I was expecting more of one or the other. Not a combination of... Not really a combination of both, but there was elements of both in there. I was like, because everyone else either fucking loves it or they hate it. Or you can hate it and you can do what I did, and then after like fucking most of your life of watching this thing, you end up loving the shit out of it. Because when I first saw this, I thought, what the fuck have I just watched? A little 13-year-old me could not understand what the fuck this show just did to me.
This is not friendly to 14-year-olds. No. I think that...
But luckily, I had End of Evangelion right fucking there. My LimeWire was going for a week and a half downloading all this shit. So
I think there is a level of... I think there's a lesson to be learned from an ending like this that has never been a hard one for me. Like, even as a kid, like, I've always kind of had the mind of like, this is somebody else's story. I just have the privilege of loving it and being able to accept, like being able to go like, oh, like this was like being able to go, this is narratively resonant, but it wasn't what I wanted, and being able to separate those two ideas. I've had lots of those moments, like against like two Star Wars examples off the top of my head. Like, I am very firmly on the record, and I have softened on The Rise of Skywalker over time. It is by no means my favorite Star Wars movie, but there's a lot of things that I had a lot of like aggressively negative opinions about that I've cooled on and have either grown to appreciate or like. To the end of time, killing off Ben Solo was one of the most cowardly narrative decisions ever made in Star Wars. I will never not have that opinion, I think.
No. And neither should you. It was just an outright bad move.
And to everybody who's like, oh, but space war crimes, not a good enough answer. I will be here for another 3 hours if you give me time to explain how you handle that.
I'll cut all of it out. It's fine.
The other one that I've always struggled with is, or not always struggled with, because I did eventually grow to appreciate it, but I do still have mixed opinions about how Mando season 3 ended. There was a part of me that very much felt as though the Children of the Watch are a fundamentalist organization that is inherently repressive to its members, and the story ending with them kind of being allowed to stand as they are irked me. But there then comes with it the idea that, because they have melded with the greater part of Mandalorian culture, that it's much more of a choice now than it is an obligation. But no, so like that's not something I've struggled with a whole lot as like a consumer of art and media. So, I can say there are parts of this ending as is that don't work for me, that feel a little undercooked and out of left field in a like the final boss of the joke I've been making all season. With this whole like, this show will out of nowhere go, oh yeah, it's magic, and then just like that it is hard science the whole show, or like hard bullshit sci-fi science, and then go, there is no other explanation for this than magic. You're just going to have to accept that if we're going to keep this ball rolling. And the show's done that quite a few times. This felt like the final boss of that. But again, it emotionally goes to such a resonant place of just making characters grapple with what they don't like about themselves that it was deeply compelling. And it was a very brave decision. And like I said, it's going to get unending style points from me on that front. So, yeah.
Are you happy you watched last week's and these two separately? What do you think you would have been like if I made you watch all three? Because it was close. Looking back on it, it was a mistake to even think of it, but that's just me. Could you have dealt with the whole Kaoru stuff and then just jumping straight into this?
If I'm being honest, I think I would have liked the ending less if you made me watch all three at once.
And that's why I did it.
I think the Kaoru stuff felt so much like everything about Kaoru felt like he is like ushering in this end time scenario, that making the hard pivot into this is all going on in everybody's mind, and everybody's mind is in everybody's mind, and you know, with no resolution in the physical world. I don't know how I felt about it. But
Who says it's not in the physical world? Just because you don't see it, that means it didn't happen.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. But right, since you know that End of Evangelion is a, I'm going to say that for me, they're flat out. That tweet is flat out wrong. It's not a pseudo concurrent thing in the slightest. It is just a concurrent thing. I'm going to tell you that right now. There's no, this is an alternate thing. No, this is exactly what the ending is.
So as I am feeling like your interpretation is that everything that we just saw happened within Shinji's mind.
Everything right now, yeah. In these two episodes, yeah. Or not just Shinji's mind. It was, you can also make because it does go like the case of Asuka Lang saw you, the case of Rei Hanami, right? You're seeing it in everyone.
Yeah. I mean, just in the same way that it zeroes in on like mostly Shinji.
Obviously, Shinji's story, so you get
everybody is being affected by the human instrumentality of it all, but also this other more like boots on the ground ending is also that these are both true. That's just like one is a more like the microscope is like tuned all the way into the psychedelic, you know, telepathic nature of what's going on.
If I tell you these two, I don't know if is this but no, it's not a spoiler. Fuck it, we're at this point now. These two episodes, the microscope is probably perfect way, is literally a microscope at one specific section of End of Evangelion. You'll find out next week, obviously.
Indeed I will. But yeah, guys, this show's fucking great.
No, I won't say that. No. I really toyed myself there. I'll save it for next week, actually. I must have to remember.
Write it down.
I won't need to write it down. I won't need to. It'll be fine. So, yeah, we've reached the end of the show. Not the end of this show, because we have 5 movies to get through. Not 6, 5. Because I actually looked up the other one after we recorded and was reminded that it's not just that one movie. That movie was actually Death True Squared is an amalgamation of Death and Rebirth, which is a recap. So they put a recap and End of Evangelion together to make another movie. But you don't see Death and Rebirth anywhere. It's just Death True Squared. Anime's fucked up. They have no idea what they want to do with titles. Yeah, I don't know how to end this, to be honest. Go follow Jarod. Go follow TNAP. Wait until he plays the clip he's looking for.
No, I was just making sure I had my cursor over end recording.
Oh, I was just, I thought I saw the eyes like.
No.
I
I think there's only one way to end this episode.
Congratulations. I'm so glad you didn't say have a nice day there.
Congratulations, everybody.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Hey guys, thanks for watching or listening, whatever flavor you prefer. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the good stuff so you don't miss an episode. And of course, leave a comment, tell us what you thought about this episode of Neon Genesis. If you watched it before or you haven't, I generally love to hear what people think about this show. If you're following along with us, that's great. If not, and you watched it before, tell us what you think about this one specific episode in particular, because we are trying to keep Jarod spoiler free as much as possible. And yeah, any help is greatly appreciated for this little channel project we're working on here. Trying to build this up, and of course we can't do that without you guys. So yeah, any help is greatly appreciated, and we'll catch you all for the next one. So take care.